Okay, that's me, Daryl Leary, flying my DJI Mavic Mini. And I appreciate those people giving me lots of distance given this viral pandemic. Typically, I would be wearing my plastic face shield with my mask, but I can't see the display on my controller when I do that. So I tried to find a good spot where nobody was around. That's why I didn't take off from the dock there where there's other people situated. Because I do take this viral pandemic quite seriously. And so today I thought I would be adventurous, and I'm just setting up the drone here, trying to get the best shot for flying over this man-made lake that has two islands in the center. So that was pretty cool. I'm really happy that no one came up to me and started asking me questions about the drone, because that I don't want to get close to anybody during this pandemic. So my first concern here was gaining some altitude, because there's a lot of birds here. There's a lot of geese and ducks and this kind of thing, and the last thing I want is these birds attacking my drone. So I started out by climbing up to 104 feet. Yep, there I am. And it's pretty cool. You can see some birds swimming over to the second island there on the left. And so yeah, I didn't want to get any closer to these islands, because a lot of birds nest on these islands, and the last thing I want is a bunch of geese, attacking my drone and rendering it useless. So I thought I would do a nice flyby over the lake here, and there's lots of lakes here in Hermitage Park. So we're actually in Hermitage Park, Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. I was going to go to Rundle Park because they have like these beautiful fountains at Rundle Park, but the city decided, because of the pandemic, they didn't have enough money to turn on those fountains. So all the lakes in Rundle Park were actually drained. But even though I made a previous drone video of Hermitage Park, this one is a lot more thorough. So I'm looking at the I think here I'm looking at the first island here at the bottom, and I'm taking a look at all these tiny birds that you can see nested on the island. There you can see a couple ducks walking on the island. That is so cool. I really like that. And I'm trying to do some really good videography, like just trying to fly over the island and get as close as I can, but not too close that I hit a tree or these birds freak out and get startled and start attacking the drone. This type of thing. I mean, I do my best to try to respect the wildlife, right? So, but the good thing about the Mavic Mini is that once it's 100 feet up in the air, you can't hear it. And you can see here, almost kind of like in the bottom right, there's a person in a little kayak, and there's another person there too. So it's kind of cool to get some people that were boating in these man-made lakes. Hermitage Park is actually the only park in Edmonton, Alberta, where you're allowed to boat in these man-made lakes. You can't do that in any other parks, but you can do it in the North Saskatchewan River. So this is a nice pan here. This bridge is a railway crossing that a train goes over, and we're starting to look at the refinery in the background there. And I noticed these power lines, and the last thing I wanted was electrical interference from the power lines. So I wanted to climb like really, really high to make sure I didn't hit them. And I really don't know how tall they are, but when you're looking through the view on the phone connected to the controller, it's really hard to judge the distance. And I'm just building on my experience of flying the drone around while being cautious enough, taking every precautionary measure not to crash it or get myself into trouble. So I am at 282 feet. You can see it in altitude, ground, uh, above ground. And I thought I would fly over the North Saskatchewan River here. And this day was actually a really nice day. The winds were between 5 to 8 miles per hour. So as I understand it, the DJI Mavic Mini can stabilize itself up to winds of 17.8 miles per hour or 8 meters per second. So this was a really good day to fly, especially in May, because May is the windiest month of the year. And here I wanted to get a nice view of the bridge while being over the North Saskatchewan River too. I had previously set a limit on the distance that I could fly the drone away from me, because I didn't want to run into a situation where I flew it too far and then I wouldn't have enough battery power to fly it back. So I'm just taking a very measured approach, trying to figure out, how far I can go out and safely come back. I know it would make for a really exciting video if I just flew all the way across the North Saskatchewan River and back and up to that big bridge where the train goes on, but but then again, I paid $400 for this drone, and then on top of that I paid like $82 including shipping for each of the 3 batteries that I bought with it. So a mistake for me would be very costly. I'm looking down at the river here, and I wanted to get more like halfway across the river, so I'm just looking at the shoreline there, just trying to figure out exactly where the drone is. And the river looks muddy because there's a lot of silt in the North Saskatchewan River, so it mixes in with the water and gives it that really muddy look. But I also wanted to get a closer look at this refinery setup here, and I'm not sure what exactly goes on here. What kind of refining process they have going on here, but it's still interesting. I like Hermitage Park because it's got like really great geography and features to explore with a drone. I'm looking back here because I wanted to get a nice view of especially this lake with the 2 islands. And I've actually been on these 2 islands with a kayak, because one thing I do aside from uploading drone pictures to Google to Instagram is I also upload them to Google Maps. And so I'm like a Google local tour guide, and I'm really passionate about Google Maps. So I also have a really good quality 360 camera that I've spent the last couple years taking like thousands of shots of like around Edmonton and stuff like that. So I'm trying all the time to improve my my presentation and illustration of the city of Edmonton and other areas that I visit, especially for Google Maps. So I have my camera that it's a decent camera. It's not like it's got 60 time optical zoom, so it's really great for getting like those close in shots for Google Maps when you can't get close to something. Uh, and and I've got my like 360 camera, and I've got my drone, and so I want to use all this equipment to try to get the best pictures and videos of the areas I visit for Google Maps. It's like a passion of mine. So, um, but here I think I'm doing a panoramic, just rotating the drone and enjoying the view as much as I can. There's some kind of processing plant in the center of the screen there. I'm not sure what goes on there. But there's like so many man-made lakes in Hermitage Park here. I mean, it's just a great place to explore. And you can see the two kayakers at the bottom there. And I really had a lot of fun on this day. Like this was just an awesome day for me. You can see downtown Edmonton there, the tall buildings, almost kind of to the right of the center. And I'm staying at 390 feet. And the telemetry data, you can see it on the bottom right corner. And eventually what I'm going to do in my next drone videos is I'm going to add a timestamp, because I like to present all the information, especially when I upload a picture to Instagram or Google Maps. I like to present like the coordinates and longitude and latitude, and so that you and the altitude, so that you can look at these places on Google Earth for yourself and see where I took these pictures in these videos. So this is kind of like my voluntary job I've taken up, even though I don't get paid a dime for it. But collectively on Google Maps, I've acquired about 33 million views. So so it's pretty cool. But I just do it for the love of it, and so I'm always trying to research better ways of doing it. Right now I'm taking the drone down, and this is the first video of two videos, because I'm going to go on to my next battery and take a bunch of pictures. So there you see me in my nice open space, far away from everybody else. And it was a little tricky because of all these trees here. I didn't want to get the drone stuck in a tree. You know, that'd be a nightmare. So, giving the peace sign and doing a nice panoramic shot at ground level, about 8 feet above the ground. I just wanted to get some of the geese and the ducks that are walking on the ground and on the water, and these people were fishing on the dock here. And this is the second video that I put together, and in this video I wanted to fly over some of the other half of Hermitage Park to get a closer look at some of these other features here, like these interesting ponds of water that are on the right side here. They're actually quite colorful, and so there was actually quite a few people out. But thankfully the park is large enough that people can spread out, so you don't have to worry about getting too close to anybody. And I'm flying at about 325 feet right now, and I'm right now I'm a little worried. This battery, this second battery that I was using, I wanted to make sure I had enough battery power coming back. And now that I think about it, I should have gone into sport mode and and just flew even further across Hermitage Park. I think I'll do that next time. But I kept the entire video in cinematic mode, so what this whole video, the drone is moving at about 8 miles per hour. But the drone could go up to 30 miles per hour, 28 miles per hour. But this is the location where I was in my previous drone video. But usually when I go to these areas, I try to research these areas. I look on them. I look at them on Google Earth, and I try to map out my route to some extent and try to understand the terrain that's around the area. And I try to figure out the best places where I can launch the drone and the best route to fly the drone. But I wasn't aware of all these power lines here, so. Yeah, they scare me a little bit. Here, I think I'm going down for a closer look at some of these islands here. So it's really funny, you know, like even at even at an altitude of like 290 feet, it feels like I'm so close to these things, but I'm really like way up in the air. And I just I'm just trying to do a nice flyover of some of these islands so you can get a better look at them. It's neat seeing all these birds, you know, flying around and and here's the second island. I don't believe you're technically allowed to swim in these ponds, but I'm not sure why you would want to. The thing about this park is there's a lot of duck and geese feces all over the ground. So, you know, I was a bit worried about being contaminated by the feces all over the ground too. Um, so, in a way, it's kind of like an unsanitary condition, you know. Um, But here, I wanted to get a closer in shot of some of the activity that was going on in this lake, and I believe I'm lowering my altitude because I want to get a bit of a close up of these people fishing on the dock here, and oh, you can see a car driving on the road there. That's cool. So I'm slowly descending, and the last thing I want to do is freak out the wildlife. You know, I want to respect the wildlife as much as I can. You know, I don't want to stress out the wildlife either, right? So I'm trying to get a close in shot of some of these birds that are nesting and walking on this little island here, because you can't really get to those islands unless you travel to them by boat. So I thought they would be sort of an interesting area to explore. And now I think what's captured my eye is these people on the kayaks, on the paddle boats. So I wanted to focus on them a little bit, and I think it kind of makes for a bit of a neat video. But I didn't want to get too close to them because I didn't want them to think I was trying to spy on them or anything like that. You know, I didn't want to invade their privacy, as it were. But yeah, and then I think here I'm starting to set up my shot so I can get a closer look at this dock where these people are fishing. And as long as I keep the drone at least 100 feet up in the air, nobody can hear it. So I don't have to worry too much about that. You can see me on the field there, off to the right of the center there, just standing controlling my drone. And I thought I would do a little bit of a flyover of the dock there and try to get a good shot of it. But I really wanted to go to Rundle Park and fly the drone over those fountains, because at Rundle Park they have a fountain that's like 50 feet up in the air, and it would have just been like a really epic shot to get, you know. But the city won't be turning them on this summer. You can see some people walking down the trail there. And I think I'm coming in for a landing, and totally unexpected to me, what ended up happening when I was trying to land the drone is this gust of wind. It must have been like 15, 20 miles per hour, just all of a sudden came rushing through, and it was like a windstorm that lasted for like maybe 5 seconds. It was like a freak anomaly of the weather, and it was kind of freaky because I have a lot of trees surrounding me, so you know, I didn't want the drone to get blown over, and it was totally unexpected, you know, despite how much I tried to prepare for this. So but thank you for watching my video. I very much appreciate it. Take care.